We're going to hear from Yulia Perlis before we get into the container cost allocation group, which is our final bit. Yulia, are you there?
Hello. Yeah.
Awesome. Hey, Yulia. So thank you for joining us. Really interesting to hear your talk. You know, the reason we reached out to Yulia on this was she's done a FinOps practice now at a very large organization and is now doing it at a very tiny organization. And we wanted to hear the journey between those two. What's different? What happened, and sort of, you know, what that has looked like. So Yulia, would love to hear the story, and maybe if I can open with a question for you. What's been the driver for you to go from big company doing this to small company doing FinOps? What has changed?
It's not so much as what has changed. It's more of, I really believe in a big company, you get less technical. In FinOps, you have less opportunity to deep dive into the products and try to impact the architecture. You can teach, you can facilitate, you can kind of encourage, but you get less of an opportunity to deep dive. I've been working in Amdocs for 8 years. So, and I've throughout my entire career, I've been working in huge enterprises. I never had a chance to do a startup. And so it kind of, they called me and they had this cool offering, and it seemed like, so I moved to a startup. It's called Logs.io. It's a pretty stable startup. They've been around for 6 years. They're well funded. They have nice revenue, but they've been for the past 6 years, they've been in this sprint of getting features out. And now they're getting to the stage where they're kind of realizing they need to take consideration of their costs. And they are from day one on cloud. So whether if in Amdocs for many years, Amdocs is a traditional company. It has been around for like 27 years, and about 24 years of it, Amdocs was primarily on-prem. There was, Amdocs has 7 data centers, and etc., and many different products that are always shipped products, meaning customer would come, they would sign a deal, Amdocs developers will do the customizations around the product, install them on servers, ship them to the customer. Somebody would go to the customer site, install the servers in their data center, etc. And it was a very different model than working on the public cloud. So when we started doing the transformation to the public cloud, it was a very different approach. Here, it's a company that's from day one, they were born on cloud. So I kind of wanted to have that experience. But yeah, I see already moved me to my first slide. So before I kind of start, everybody, keep me in the first slide. Everybody's always like, when I'm saying I'm from Amdocs, everybody's saying, oh yeah, Amdocs. But what does Amdocs do? Nobody kind of knows. Amdocs is a software company. It's been around for many years. They mainly cater for the telco market, meaning the AT&Ts, the Vodafones, etc. They provide billing, CRM, marketing analytics, etc. types of software. And from about 2 years ago, they're also providing their customers with digital transformation services, mainly to the public cloud and around FinOps and stuff like that. So it has about 25,000 employees, over 100 different products, 60 different business units, 7 data centers, 2 public cloud vendors, for now, you never know, and 1 FinOps solution. And I'm calling it a solution because, well, we had a team of, let's call it the full-time FinOps people, but really, and I think it's really touching on the 2 previous talks, it's never 2 people or 5 people, whoever. FinOps is a change in culture, is a change in mindset. And it's really not something you can do alone. Everybody needs to kind of do the move, do the change. And as I see it, FinOps is more of the team that is facilitating this process. Can you switch up to the next one? Yeah. So in Amdocs, we kind of started about 3 years ago, I think. I was at the time a project manager with IT. and I got a new project. They told me we need to do something public cloud. My requirement was basically, guys, we need a safe way for developers to consume public cloud. Well, there were no vendors speaking, just consume public cloud. Nobody was sure what it is, very, very deeply. And they mentioned something about cost. Understanding kind of the spend would be nice, but lower priority. First of all, let's stop getting hacked. We just, of course, got hacked like a few days before that. And Amdocs was starting to get worried about liability and stuff like that. So we kind of started the way, and we started really from building the team and understanding who are the relevant teams to partake in such a project. Because we had a virtualization team at the time, and we just built, I just finished building an on-prem cloud solution with them. So we kind of knew the people. We knew that we need the networking team. Of course, we need some information security advisors, but we probably need to start getting our customers who are in Amdocs. IT calls anybody else who is working outside of IT is customers, our internal customers, basically. So we needed our customers to kind of tell us what they need from this cloud. We needed to understand which cloud providers we want to start working with, because we had people starting testing out stuff, type of playgrounds at that time, but it was very unmanaged. It was more of a practice of people just putting their credit card and getting an expense, and it was type of a personal account. Sometimes it was their own personal email, sometimes it was their work email, which was a huge issue by itself. And it was all quite messy. Nobody knew where even how much money is going. So we kind of started with our first step of building that and doing the mechanism of getting a solution for the developers, for whoever needs to have public cloud, a managed way and a secured way for them to have public cloud. So we can actually start managing this public cloud. So once we got on the ground, we really started working on the cost part. And as every good FinOps story starts, it typically starts within the first Excel. You pull it from whatever FinOps tool you were using at that time. And you're thinking about, okay, now I have this huge Excel, who do I send it to? And you kind of start looking for those random BizOps people or finance people or procurement people or whoever is relevant in your company. And you're kind of starting to send it out to whoever you kind of think it's relevant to. And often those people in the beginning will not know what you want from them. And then you'll talk about a bit about it, and you'll understand it's not enough. Those Excels are never enough. And we kind of went into this process of, from an Excel, we developed into started developing dashboards, started using Power BI in the beginning, just was whatever we had off the shelf. Start developing Power BI dashboards with permissions, with some forecasting and analysis, budget plus actuals, and some very basic analysis. It was a monthly report, which is very not timely manner in the cloud world. And it was a start. And we continued with our set of dashboards, kind of going around the company and identifying the natural partners, our procurement people, our architects, and kind of building the forums and starting to kind of network internally, understand what do we need, which cloud vendors we prefer to work with, and what we prefer to do. And as the company matured in the public cloud, we started spending, our spend started to grow. So if in the beginning we had more of playground type of environments, we started to see more development environments, and CI/CD pipelines were starting to be created. And we really emphasized on education. So we started to arrange conferences, getting conferences from any cloud vendor who wanted Amdocs business. And as Amdocs, we had this huge power where when Amdocs is coming, when I'm calling somebody from Amdocs, as identifying as an Amdocs employee, and I'm saying, I'm looking to maybe start using your software or whatever, those vendors would typically kind of be excited about it, and they're willing to contribute their knowledge and their time in me, in our employees, in our developers, etc. So we had Toms and I think all cloud vendors doing type of conferences, type of studies, type of help, well, architected sessions, forums. We had a few CCOE kind of forums set up across the company. And our main job was mainly to facilitate and educate about cost effectiveness, ways to develop best practices, and etc. And our next step was where we really started to focus on automation. So basically, I got a good set of DevOps people who were amazing, and they wanted to evolve in the cloud. It made sense for that technical team, and I needed that technical expertise. And we started to developing automations around optimization recommendations. So it will be way easier to implement them. Cloud formation, Terraforms, image management, etc. Anything that can be managed and optimized according to FinOps best practices. We kind of try to go through it. And then about 2 years ago, Amdocs management declared, it was this huge declare across the company, we're moving to the cloud. The old model is basically out. All products are moving to the cloud. You have 1 year to do it. There was huge EDP deals signed with AWS, another huge partnership with Azure. Everything exploded. Our cost started growing. The amount of business units developing on the cloud grew tremendously. We actually received an approval to develop an enterprise-grade FinOps tool because Amdocs also decided to start doing this offering our customers this digital transformation processes, and FinOps is quite an important part of it. And even internally in Amdocs, we never had a very good automatic tool. So we had our set of dashboards, but it was not one big tool that we kind of have all resources in together. So we could, it will be easier to share one platform, having everything on it. And it was a great opportunity for us and a great learning curve. And it was a very interesting journey by itself. And by
hey Yulia, I wonder, and sorry to interrupt, I just, not your fault, we're a little behind on from the other talks. I'm looking at Vaz and Rob here. Could we maybe move some of the conversation over into the breakout room? Because we got one more piece after this. And I'm wondering if I can ask you sort of the takeaway, which is like, and this is for future conversation, the breakouts. You know, what you said, there's a lot of similar challenges from big company to small company, but you know, what has been different? What's been harder? What's been easier?
So I think eventually at the end of the day, the FinOps work from the day-to-day work that you typically do, like identifying your areas of identifying your waste, identify saving opportunities. That's the same practices, same work. But what changes really is the perspective of people and kind of their past experience. So in Amdocs, I had people who've been working alongside me for 20 years in Amdocs. So they've grown in this traditional data center centric world. And now I need to show them, like, now we're on the cloud, and on the cloud, somebody told you pay as you go, but as Rob says, you actually pay for what you run. So
little dirty secret of cloud. Yeah,
and it's a huge change for them. Because on data centers, everything you have, you basically run 24/7, because really otherwise you waste it. So it's a huge mindset change. Here in logs, they were born on the cloud. Like, it's given that you pay for what you run. Still, obviously, like on my second week, I found one database that was not deleted for 1 month. It was a nice catch, but really, they grew on the cloud. It's a different culture. On the other hand, it's a startup, so they don't know the word budget.
There's that four-letter word again.
It's we're starting to introduce the idea of quotas And we're doing it very general, like gently, mainly at this stage when I'm saying, okay, we're going on a journey, it's a maturity journey, and using this type of terminology that would often go quite obviously in a enterprise, because an enterprise needs to change and evolve, and it has these huge projects every so many years. So kind of everybody went through it. Change management, transformation, they kind of know these terms. Most of the people already went through it at some point. With a startup, it's their only journey they know is the journey of the company.
Right.
And of course, there are people who are coming from different backgrounds, and I'm not the only one who's coming from an enterprise background. But yeah, I think it's a different culture, and the change is there. It's the mindset.